is the Conservative Colonel Podcast with Harrison Dawes, where one man stands against the rising tide of liberalism. This officer in the battle to preserve our nation is the Conservative Colonel.
Nothing ends here. Our hopes and our journeys continue.
And here's Harrison Dawes.
Welcome back to the Conservative Colonel Podcast, coming to you from Waynesboro, Mississippi, baby. I am your host for the evening, Harrison Dawes. Sadly, Graves was not able to make it to this recording session. He had a good show for you guys playing, so I don't know how I'm going to pick up the slack, but we still got a pretty interesting show for you playing. Some updates, some wins, kind of diving into some of the stuff Trump has been doing, and some stuff that is interesting stuff happening on the Mississippi level. But remember, even though we're a day late, new episodes of the podcast every Thursday. We will try to start getting more solidified on the day, but we're happy we're just being able to at least once a week right now. But we will be trying to stick a bit harder to them Thursday dates. But leave a 5-star review and please share out all these episodes and check us out on our main platform Speaker. But we're also on Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music and Audible, Cashbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Listen Notes, and Good Pods. While we're still behind on our live video format, or if you want to see me other than in audio on Rumble, but on YouTube, we have caught up the library. We are back in business on YouTube. The videos are scheduled to come out this week. So we have an episode that premiered today, episode 27. Episode 28 will premiere February 10th. And episode 39 will appear on February 11th, with this episode 40, airing, of course, on Wednesdays when we air our visual format of the show. But our main audio format, you can still always get on Thursdays. So, and of course, if you want to listen to a new episode first, you need to go listen to us on those podcasts. Our video formats are a couple days behind, so when they release, it could be outdated information. It could be, you're getting stuff a couple days late. So hence why I kind of encourage everybody to go listen to the audio format of the show, because it's usually either released the day or filmed the day before or the day of. I usually try to either record on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and hopefully soon to be rare occasions Friday, like today. But let's go ahead and dive into the news. I really don't think I have anything else to say other than thank you all for your support of the last episode 39. I'm currently in the planning process for a big episode 50, but I will have to get back to y'all on that soon. I don't know yet. I am planning something. Hopefully a nice, good guest will come on. Haven't talked to him about it yet. But hopefully we can have someone appear on episode 50. So just 10 weeks away from episode 50. So we're going to start off with the main point of last week's episode was just the shocking corruption here in the state of Mississippi. Well, we have an update on that. The Mississippi Corruption Act has been killed. It's dead. It's no longer on the docket. We are in no form on that bill seeing corruption flourish. There's a couple other bills that are pretty sketchy, but as of that bill, we are good right now. So, of course, the Mississippi Corruption Act would have stripped the state auditor of a lot of his power, and a lot of it focused on the fact that he was informing everybody that the government was wasting money and there was a good sign of a lot of corruption in our state. So the Mississippi Corruption Bill or Act is dead. It was killed by the state senator, the chairman who authored it for Lieutenant Governor Hoseman. So thank y'all for putting the pressure on our Senate for doing that. Delbert learned this week he's not a king of Mississippi. He's not the king of Mississippi. He is a representative, and he should be scared of the power that the people here of Mississippi have. So it was a big win here in Mississippi when it comes to corruption with that bill dying. And it is crazy. And there is another story to kind of go along with that. I might save that for a bit later, but that is coming from Auditor Shade White personally on his Facebook. He made a statement clarifying, the death of the bill and bringing some attention to some other things that are good for Mississippi. But it is fantastic that we have able to dodge a massive bullet, and there's still a lot in the chamber, though, sadly. But take it one step at a time with this. We got a big win by being able to beat this bill, and hopefully the state auditor Shade White can continue to fight corruption at the Mississippi government level, and hopefully dissuade Delbert from running for governor, so we don't have to worry about what he's going to do in that office like we have with lieutenant governor. And even though he can do a lot more damage to Mississippi as lieutenant governor, I sure as heck don't want him as our governor. But lucky for us, it looks like a lot of people open their eyes about Delbert, the fact that he thinks he's a king, the fact that he runs the Senate with an iron fist. Anybody that opposes him will pay the ultimate price. Luckily, it looks like those times might be coming to an end. With the fact that his own people killed the bill, now was it with Delbert's blessing? Was it against Delbert's wishes? We don't know, because they're all saying, of course, that, Delbert had nothing to do with this. Our lieutenant governor is a fair man of the people, blah, 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 bullcrap. But the sad news is again, we are still fighting corruption. It looks like a couple companies have paid our elected officials, because the next bill we're going to talk about, Senate Bill 2474 and House Bill 1221. These two bills are pending in Mississippi, designed to protect billionaire manufacturers, or pesticide manufacturers, and sellers from liability when they cause harm to innocent Mississippis. If this bill does become law, and I'm getting this from Senator Chris McDaniel's Facebook page, farmers, workers, and consumers lose their right to sue if pesticides harm them or their land. Second, children and families exposed to harmless pesticides sprayed near their homes, schools, or playgrounds have no recourse. They can't sue them if they get sick. These bills, again, is Senate Bill 2474 and House Bill 1221. So you want to call your senators, call Delbert Hoseman, call the Speaker of the House, call the governor. We want these killed. As a farmer, this scares me. As someone who, is hoping to be a history teacher one day, it scares me for the students at schools. It scares me for workers. It scares me for just common day Mississippians that these companies these billion-dollar companies have all of a sudden found a way to make sure that you can't fight back if they mess up. So instead of them being held accountable, well, now they're not. And again, corruption is flourishing in the state of Mississippi. It's a sad truth, but again, if you want any more evidence other than the Mississippi Corruption Act, here it is, House Bill 2472 or Senate Bill 2472 and House Bill 1221. I am just in utter shock that this is happening. Not part of me is shocked and part of me is not. Because the corruption is just continuing and continuing. And hopefully more and more people's eyes are being brought to it, and you can continue to fight it over and over and over again. So hopefully this will be brought to everybody's attention. And hopefully we can fight hard back on this. So again, they're going to either be, if they dump harmful materials or if they spray it in your area and they just all of a sudden decide to go a cheaper route, and it's all about the dollar. And so they are spent their money well in the Senate and the House. And again, it proves to you how corrupt the Senate and the House is that this is even legislation. It's mind-blowing, the level of corruption here in Mississippi. Just utterly mind-blowing. We're the most red state in the union, yet we're supposed to be the most conservative, but yet bills like this come up time and time again. Protecting billionaires, protecting companies over Mississippians. And it is just a sad, sad case. And hopefully, again, please call your representatives, call Delbert, call the Speaker of the House, call the governor, and tell them how much against this you are. Call your senator and representative, call everybody, send them emails, blow up their phone. This should not be able to stand. Hopefully, this is dealt with. Chris posted this a day ago, so I don't know any more information on it right now, but I will try to keep everybody up to date. Again, just very, very sad stuff in the state of Mississippi, showing you corruption at its finest. Now, something else I want to talk about is the Mississippi's government. There's stuff on my mic. I'm not going to scratch that. You'll hear it, and of course my mic muted. But I was trying to clean it, and saying people would probably complain if I try to clean it right now. But the only people seeing is the people on YouTube. So, but talking about the corruption here in Mississippi, not only that, but the lack of conservative leadership here in Mississippi. So one of Trump's big things is disbanding, destroying the Department of Education on the national level and sending education back to where it belongs, to the states. Because again, we're from the states to the government, the federal government. Unless it is dictated in the Constitution, the federal government should not have a say in certain things. And you can see with how bad our education is in this country and how much it's liberal brainwashing. I mean, people go to high school, people go to middle school, elementary, college, and they come out just utterly brainwashed into thinking like liberals. It's not the fact that they're being taught education wrong. And sometimes they're even being taught education right, and that's their selling point. But they're using it to corrupt children, people who are easily influenced at the time. And so, Arkansas, Alabama, and now Tennessee, Trump made a post congratulating Tennessee on working hard to pass school choice this week, which he totally supports. We will very soon start sending education back to the states where it belongs. It is our goal to bring education in the United States to the highest level, one that it will never that it has never attained before. Make America great again. Quote from Trump on True Social. So, and again, Mississippi hasn't done this yet, and Mississippi schools hate it. And that's the thing. They're like, it's going to destroy the education system. And I'm like, then why is Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, and now Tennessee done it? Now, again, just because these states do it doesn't mean it's a good idea, but I think it deserves looking into. Students being able to leave bad school districts, make those school districts want to step up. I have a bad school district where I'm from. Education's not really being taught. Kids aren't really being molded into good members of society. They're being allowed to do whatever they want. And when I was a kid, I definitely know deadgum well I shouldn't have been allowed to do whatever I want. But these are happening again because of the lack of leadership and actual education in the state of Mississippi. I teach these kids and let them make their own assumptions, but we're not. Again, we need to bring education back to the states, back to the local community to attain a higher level of education, I think. So I'm happy to see that Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, and now Tennessee has joined in those ranks, but Mississippi has yet to even do it. I know it's on the docket, but it's getting so much hate from the teachers and the educators and the professors here in Mississippi. I don't know if it'll happen this year, simply because also we're so lacking conservative leadership and conservative people in the Senate and the House. I don't think it's going to pass, but I could be wrong. Hopefully we can stay in touch with that and really try to connect it as best we can with let's see here. Okay, I know my next story. Sorry, I was looking at my next story. Yeah, it has to do with education as well, but it's a weird feeling, the fact that I see such bad education out there, the fact that every time I told people that I was thinking about becoming an educator, that they're like, oh, we need good educators. We need someone that will actually teach history, someone that will actually do this, do that without bias. And the fact that that's coming from a lot of teachers, a lot of retired teachers, a lot of current teachers, and the fact that the higher ups in education are like, no, don't do it. I think it kind of tells you what you want to know. The fact is they want to continue influencing small minds to be liberal, to become Democrats, to vote, to brainwash them, instead of focusing on the goal, which is to highly educate these kids. I would like to see Mississippi become one of the best education states in the union. There's the stereotype that Mississippians are all dumb rednecks, and while we're rednecks, we're definitely not dumb. But the whole country has an education problem. Luckily, I think Trump might not happen this year, might not happen next year, but I think before his term ends, I would hope to see that we see the National Department of Education destroyed and we bring it back to the states where it belongs. Because again, if you can start switching schools, if you don't have to worry about the National Department of Education pushing these liberal agendas, I think you can see a sharp uptake in education. Liberals will always say that we're destroying it, but I think as someone who spent time in college and been in public school, been in private school, seen the difference, I think I can honestly say and still be close to it. I'm about to turn 26, sadly, but still so closely connected to it that I understand why we need this. We do not need the Department of Education. The government should not be that involved on the federal level. And some arguments can be for state, but I know Chris McDaniel said that it should be up to the local governments. I would like to actually talk to him about that hopefully one day so I can hear his point of view on that, because I don't really have a solidified answer for local and state yet, but I do know that the national government should have no involvement. But I would like to talk to someone about that. Maybe my guest on the 50th episode, me and him can talk about it, because I know he's also for it. Isn't that great? Free thought, free conversation, no arguments. Someone might maybe even being persuaded. Me, him, who knows? But that is a big win. Now for the next win, there's a bill on the docket. Now, I don't know. I might be looking at old information, so let me. Okay. It did pass on the Senate side. So when when Shade White made his post about the end of the Mississippi Corruption Act, And actually, before we get into this next bit of news about the education system in Mississippi, let us take a quick commercial break and we will be right back. We are back, everybody, and I lost my place because, of course, I did. All right. So on that post that Shay talked about, and again, this was a couple days ago when he made the post, maybe Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, and I think the bill is passing the Senate now. But sadly, we should have been going for the House one. So DEE. If you don't know what DEE means, it's diversity, equality, and inclusion. But sadly, it's not really doing that. Instead, it is, again, more brainwashing. And actually spreading more hate between races, sadly. And so Mississippi, and of course in Mississippi fashion, we passed the weaker one, but wanted to get rid of it and focus more on making sure diversity, equality, inclusion of people, is done actually right. There's only two genders. Everybody, yes, is a different race, but we're all, in America, we're all, equal under the law. And here's how to make sure you live the best life and have the best opportunities. But both chambers have passed bills on DEI, and Shay was talking about how much taxpayers' money is wasted on DEI at our universities, from bloated staff salaries higher than the governor's to programs on whiteness. And now we're seeing some progress. Credit to President Trump for finally making folks realize how dangerous this ideology is. Truth, though, the House bill killing DEI is more stronger than the bill coming from Delbert Hosemann. Surprise. For example, the House bill will allow universities to be sued if they violate the law, and the Senate bill does not. I encourage everybody to support House Bill 1193. So again, call your representatives and tell them how much you support House Bill 1193. Don't listen to your senator or your representative who both say, well, the Senate has passed something and we think that's the route to go. No. Tell them you want the House bill. We believe that we like the stronger wording. We like how you can sue universities now for being liberal pieces of garbage. So let's do it. So I got a couple of quotes from people on this. But it's awesome that, again, this is even being done, and both have passed. Now they're going to the other chambers, the House bill going to the Senate, the Senate bill going to the House to see if it becomes a law. Now, again, House Bill 1193 is what we want. Again, keep calling your representatives, get involved, people. So, again, going now to a Mr. Gilbert, Gerald Gilbert. He says, good to see the Mississippi House of Representatives pass legislation that would ban DEI programs in public schools and university. Hopefully that the Senate will pass this bill and send it to the governor's desk for enactment. Unfortunately, a Senate bill which would prohibit granting preferable treatment based on race, ethnicity, or gender in the public sector failed. Again, for decades, taxpayers in Mississippi have had been deal with this, and paid for it. There's zero chance to address the crime and corruption in the city of Jackson as long as these policies are permitted and the effects hit the entire state. This bill mirrors executive orders signed by President Trump on the first day. Perhaps our lawmakers disagree with the president on this issue. Mr. Gilbert is 100% right. They do, because they know it will start slowly bringing down the brainwashing and the corruption. But again, you want the House bill. But it is surprising to me that this even made it through, honestly. I think our Republicans are trying to buy a lot of goodwill because of some of the other stuff they've done. So, and again, there's a lot of bills on the docket that's just awful. But again, sadly, I don't know how this is going to go. But we need to get rid of this simply because, again, if you want true equality, put everybody on a sheet of paper, take away race, take away gender. Who is the best? How we let people in universities, how we pick promotions, all that. Let the best man or woman win because there's no other genders. So, again, luckily we are seeing some slow improvement here in Mississippi, not great improvement here in Mississippi, but I guess I'll take it. The good news is these are on the docket, and like President Trump, who has attacking it on the federal level, good to see Mississippi at least trying, I suppose. Now, is it actually trying, or do they know these bills are going to die? Who knows? If the Senate passed this bill already, they shouldn't have a problem passing the House one. The House one, I would be upset because you're giving me a weaker bill simply because you still want to protect these people that have been pushing this bull crap. But again, luckily, the House has stepped up for once. Surprise, there might actually be conservatives in this state. Are you shocked? Because I am. Again, I don't know who authored this bill. I honestly think they just want to put it on their voting card. And if they both fail, they can be like, we tried. Or what I think is going to personally happen is the Senate bill gets passed and the House bill doesn't. So everybody can brag about the fact that we destroyed this liberal ideology, but we didn't. Again, that rhino mentality, pass a weaker bill, and you still get a somewhat of a win both ways. The people paying you are still pretty happy, and the people who voted for you, they think you're fighting for conservative values. So I see what game they're trying to play here. I honestly think there's a good chance the Senate bill will probably pass unless we get involved as Mississippians. So again, stay involved, stay connected with all these bills. I can't report on all of them, so make sure to stay involved. We need to make sure these rhinos are actually being. If you force the rhinos to act like conservatives, they'll act like conservatives. Now, do we need to keep electing them? No. Just because they're acting like conservative doesn't mean when you let off the gas a bit, they won't do something like the Mississippi Corruption Act or this Dead Gun Pollution Act, I'm going to call it, for the lack of a better word. Or the Poisoning Act. Let me call it the Poisoning Act. Again, you have to keep the pedal to the metal with these rhinos. So I'm encouraging everybody to, again, call your senator, call your state representative, call Lieutenant Governor Hoseman, call the Speaker of the House, call the governor, email them all, fight for it with all your might, and we might actually be able to beat this. Again, we were able to beat the Mississippi Corruption Act, which is a big win, and I want to thank my viewers who went out and did that. Last Thursday's episode was a nice big one. Y'all really shared. I'm going to ask you to share again. Let's get this show out here. Let's get these bills, the truth about them, out in the public, and let's fight for our state together. I'm only going to be as effective as y'all help me to be. Our representatives are only going to be as conservative if y'all make them, because they're rhinos. So we're going to take another commercial break real quick, and we're going to be diving into some national, federal news now. And now that we have covered Mississippi. So we'll be right back after this break. All right, welcome back. And we're going to be talking about, of course, Robert F. Kennedy. And I mean, the crap they're saying about him. God bless this man. And we're not going to be initially talking about his confirmation. I know that he's still fighting for it. Matter of fact, let me just see. Okay, I think they have confirmed him. Let's see here. Oh, the committee has done it. So let's see here. Kind of going through it. So 3 days ago, he cleared committee vote. I think it goes to the whole Senate and House now. I'm unsure, honestly, just being perfectly nominated. Yeah, okay, it's being sent to the full chamber. So he has passed stage one. And we're not going to just talk about Mr. Kennedy. But, again, just how the liberals are attacking him. These are all within either 6 hours, 36 minutes, 2 days ago in a day. Department of Health and Holy S. Robert F. K. Jr.'s Make America Healthy Again movement and what it means for America. Again, targeting him with a God bless him picture. They are really not picking the best pictures for this man. One posted 2 days ago by The Guardian. RFK's claim about black people's immune system is unscientific and terrifying. Again, racial beliefs. He's a racist. He's an evil man. Again, trying to put that forward again. And honestly, I kind of want to dive into that and see what they're misquoting him on. But we still have a good bit of news. We might go to that though. Pro-lifers shouldn't believe Kennedy's dishonest change of heart on abortion. 36 minutes ago, 6 hours ago, Kennedy adds mysterious liquid in his drink mid-fight. Internet speculates. Seed oils are toxic, says Mr. Kennedy. But it's not so simple. Again, this is 6 hours ago. Forbes, giving updates. I guarantee you it's not good on Forbes. This is just the level of hate he has gotten in such a quick time is baffling. And they're saying that he's getting donations and bribes from pharmacy CEOs, Wall Street CEOs, oil company CEOs, and stuff like that because he's a corrupt official that doesn't really care about the health of America. Now, I haven't read about Mr. Kennedy's views on health. I do know when Kennedy was president, not this Kennedy and the other Kennedy, was president, that we were pretty healthy as a country at a time. And I would love to get back to that personally. You can't tell because you're only listening to me, but I'm pretty heavy. I'm 6'2" and about 250. And I'm not saying that it was education's fault, the schooling's fault. Now, I was healthy during school decently because I played sports and worked out and ran and played basketball. And, I was just generally a healthier person than I am now. And I need to get back to being healthy. Your health is your own decision. But, it's funny that these people are talking about, RFK Jr.'s allegiances. Is it to actually making the country healthier? Because the country has been on a steep decline of unhealthiness. I think we're probably one of the most unhealthy countries in the world, if not the most unhealthy country in the world. Again, don't have any research in front of me right now, but I remember reading something a while back about that. If we're not we're like in the top 5 unhealthy countries in the world. Let's see here. We're going to the most unhealthy country in the world. Okay, we're not up there. We're not the most. Let's from YouTube Finance in 2021. I'm looking at the most let's see here. Unhealthy countries in the world. I love how they don't actually have a list. Let's just see where we are. And this is why you shouldn't trust the internet without research, because they're saying that I love how they have to have it at another article, trying to get me to view more. I'm doing all this for y'all for the sole purpose of actually. Oh, wow. I hate they're trying to get me on so many apps. Just let me see all, please. My gosh. I'm on a whole different page now. Okay. So, what I can find, again, apologies for the delay. The U.S. is not the unhealthiest country in the world, but it does have poor health outcomes compared to other high income countries. Obesity, the U.S. has one of the highest obesity rates in the world. Life expectancy is low. Suicide, we have one of the highest suicide ratings, so on and so on. But, again, we could be a lot better than what we are. We should be one of the healthiest countries in the world. We should be, one of the most fit. Obesity shouldn't be the problem that it is. Oh my gosh, is obesity a problem here in America? It's become a meme for other countries that Americans are just like fat, And I mean, I can see that here in Mississippi. I mean, there's a lot of obese people here in Mississippi, just poor, unhealthy people that are just, it's so bad for them. But, all these companies don't want you to be healthy because they make money off you not being healthy. But again, talking about that quote I did earlier, this comes from Bernie Sanders, and it's hilarious. 0 donations from pharmacy CEOs, 0 donation from Wall Street CEOs, 0 donations from oil company CEOs, 8 million from working people giving me $27 at a time. Now, again, this comes from Bernie Sanders. He's accusing RFK Jr. of taking donations from these CEOs, pharmacy mainly. And it's funny because money from pharmaceutical companies, health producers, our health productions to U.S. senators from 1990 to 2024. Here's the sum total. Bernie Sanders, $1,953,613. Well, again, almost $2 million he's received from these companies. I mean, and there's so much more, so many more people who are getting bribed by pharmacy companies. And it's because, again, he doesn't want the truth splashed on him. Corruption. He got over almost $2 million from these companies for his campaign, probably a good bit of it in his pocket. So again, why are they fighting this so much? Why is all these liberal companies fighting it so much? And it's because he actually wants to make us healthy. Now, again, I have not studied his plan. I have not done a lot of research into it, but I can tell you with certainty that if the left is this much against it, there's some good in there. So that is some news I wanted to talk about. because it was just so funny to me. Again, almost $2 million Bernie Sanders has gathered from this. And it's a wonderful meme that I'm probably going to post at some point on the Conservative Colonel Facebook page because it's just phenomenal. Like, you just laugh at it a bit because it's so in your face, But we do have some other big wins to talk about with the Trump administration, so we're going to kind of jump into that now. We might, let's take one more commercial break again. Sorry for the long pause. I was trying to talk during that. That was a bit unprofessional of me. I do apologize, but I wanted to have that information for y'all. And of course, I got the runaround with a news site, but finally, I did get the information for you at least. But apologies. Sometimes things pop into my head, and I want to have it there to tell y'all. And it's not on the script for the show what we're going to talk about, so I kind of have to jump. So again, my apologies, but hopefully it wasn't too boring for y'all and y'all got the information you wanted. But we'll be right back after this commercial break. Welcome back to the last segment and news of today's episode on the Conservative Colonel podcast. And we're going to be talking about Trump now. Trump has been a very active president and been doing a lot of hard work for the country. And I kind of want to shine a light on a major win and some of the other things he's been doing. Now, some of them I might go into a bit more. Some of them I might not. Like, for example, Trump proposed the U.S. take over Gaza. I know the Midnight Ride and the Right Side Radio has covered that a good bit and a good bit of information on that. So I'm not going to really, other than bring that to your attention, you can go listen to it there if you want to know more information about that. I think that was this episode of The Right Side, their weekly episode, their main flagship episode. I think that was the main talking point. I did listen to a good bit of the episode, so that's why I know. Also, congrats, Jack, on going into journal, going back into journalism, being a news reporter, writing for a newspaper. I will always butcher the name like I did that one time, and Jack Steele has not let me live it down. But the Laurel Leader call, that is, they have acquired Jack Fairchild, and again, congratulations, Jack. And go support the Right Side and the Midnight Ride. They're always producing great content. If you don't know where to find them, go to conservativecolonel.com and you can see on the podcast tab, Great Conservative Allies, where I highlight podcasts, and I'm going to expand it to other things that are real conservative proponents for good. And some of them I'll agree with 100%, like the Midnight Ride and the Right Side Radio. And I think I have one more there. Yeah, no, it's just Chris McDaniel's America, because, of course, I do agree with that. And there's some of them I might not agree with all the way, but they're good conservative organizations that, our differences. Jack talked about that on, I think, another flagship episode, maybe last week's, how Republicans are starting to turn into liberals, where they'll just go after someone if they don't 100% agree with you. And, working on that myself, I've decided that even though I might not 100% agree with some things, we're all working towards the same goal, and we can debate, the values, the laws. The conservatives can do that on our own without becoming hateful and not supporting each other. So that's what I'm going to put there. And again, that doesn't mean supporting rhinos. No supporting rhinos. Do not support fake conservatives. Do not support conservatives that are obviously not really conservative. But, if you have small differences between each other, that, debate it. See if you can pull more people to your side of your opinion and see if you can get it shared. But at the end of the day, it's not as big as a deal as the rhino and liberal problem. But again, talking about that Gaza Strip, that those shows have really covered that, so I'm not going to dive into it. simply because I don't want to cover the same ground they have. Now, something I want to talk about on a later show is U.S. aid. Trump has put staff on leave, or is planned to put thousands of staff on leave. I do want to talk about that because, again, I think that's a good episode, and there's a lot of good information there that deserves more time than the 15 minutes left in today's show. So that might be next week. Hopefully, we'll see. The tariffs on China, and pulling back on the tariffs on Canada and Mexico, simply because Mexico and Canada have caved on what we asked them to do, and they're helping us beef up border security. So in turn of that, I think Trump is going to probably downsize the 25% tariffs on goods, while Trump is threatening to impose a 10% tariffs on China. But again, the right side and Midnight Ride have talked about this, and I don't want to cover it, but it does require some recognition. Trump has withdrew from a couple United Nations institutes. Again, the U.S. has been paying for everybody to live their best lives, and we kind of have to start thinking about us first. And after we focus on America and get America back on track with our debt, everything else, I don't care. I don't want to send as much money as we have been sending, but if you want to support it because it's going to a good cause, that's fine. But my problem is the fact that you have America suffering and Americans needing our government to focus on us and to scale back the government because we're spending too much. And when you're spending too much, you don't solve that by trying to solve other people's problems. When you have people who have their own problems that you need to spend up money on, plus you need to cut back. You can't do everything. Of course, the border where Trump is sending thousands of illegal immigrants back to their countries of origins. One thing I didn't know he did, which is fantastic, is demanding the Ukraine provide rare earth resources. On Monday, Trump said he wanted Ukraine to guarantee supplying more rare earth metals in exchange for the money that we have given them. The $300 billion we give them and the support they're out of Russia. That we decided as a government to not send someone over to see where the money's going. So instead of us being like, oh, well, crap, we've lost $300 billion or something around that number. I don't know how accurate this resource is. It's overseas, which is funny where I'm getting all this. It's hilarious because Trump is trying to at least be like, well, we gave him all this money. Let's get some bang for our buck. And the Ukraine president has said his country is open to investment, with American companies. So it's hilarious. Again, instead of trying to lose that gravy train to Ukraine, which I hope we don't send anymore, but Trump is trying to at least get us some bang for our buck, which is good. Now this one is hilarious, or not hilarious. It is an awful thing that's happened, but the reason it's gotten so bad is because of Governor Newsom's governing of California. But Trump ordered on Monday that the Army Corps of Engineers to release billions of gallons of water from the reserves into California Central Valley after deadly wildfires in Los Angeles in January. Trump has claimed that California withheld water supplies that could have been made a difference fighting these fires, which Governor Newsom and others have disputed. But the water was released into a dry lake bed More than 100 miles away from the fires, experts told CBS that the water could not flow to Los Angeles and likely go to waste. Of course, they're saying that. Said that the water in the dams have released. It was being saved for the summer season when they needed water for the farms, for the agriculture, which blows my mind that liberals care about agriculture, which they don't. But again, Trump is trying to help them fight the wildfires in California. Again, another thing he has done that needed merit, something that I thought I want to dive into later as well, is announcing a task force to tackle anti-Christian bias. Trump on Thursday signed an executive order aimed to protect religion freedoms of Americans and end the anti-Christian representation or represent the government attacking Christians in anti-Christian ways. So he appointed newly confirmed Attorney General Pam Bond to lead a task force that he called the anti-Christian bias in the federal government. Of course, there has been a lot of anti-Christian movement in this country the past decade, really. You've seen it get worse under Biden. And it did start pretty decently under Trump as well. And of course, Obama really stirred the pot, as Obama does. But it's good to see again that we are trying to get back to normal, and trying to get back to freedom of religion and not forcing religions to do things that they're not comfortable with. So again, I would like to talk about that more at a later date because, again, this was enacted yesterday. So I haven't had the time to really go into it. And I want to, as well as a whole episode could be dedicated to Dodge or Doug. Dodge? Doug? Nah. The Department of, attacking that government waste, Dodge or Dudge is the question, isn't it? I know I'm going to be saying it wrong and it's going to infuriate me later is the problem. But the Department of Government Efficiency, Trump has given them increased access. That, while they're not an official government department, they were granted access to the U.S. Department or the U.S. Treasury Department system containing sensitive information about, Americans. They're trying to make it sound like that it's going bad. But really, again, it's trying to cut spending. And again, I am getting this from a liberal source. So if I say something that sounds pretty liberal, know that I'm probably reading something and not doing a good job right now of telling you when I'm quoting something, when I'm not. Again, we're still in the baby wheels incident of this show still. But it is awesome to see that the Department of Government Efficiency is going after, and they've already saved us, I think, $1 billion of taxpayer money is the thing. So again, I want to do a whole episode on that. Graves was going to come on and talk about it, so I'm kind of saving that for him. Graves has really been connected to all this, and I cannot thank him enough for doing it. So hopefully next episode we'll definitely talk about that as well. Again, we'll probably have a whole episode on that simply because of the massive win that is. Now, something that I've been wanting to talk about ever since I heard it is the banned transgender competitors from women's sports. So Trump signed an executive order this Wednesday that prevents transgender prevents men from competing in female sports. The order outlines guidance, regulations, and legal interpretations largely around high schools, university, and grassroots sports. However, Trump did say the order would include the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles, adding he would deny visas for men athletes trying to compete in women's sports and to come visit the U.S. to compete. massive win in the Trump administration that we're seeing right now. So again, we've talked about it before in the past that during the Olympic Games, we talked about the disgusting fact that a man beat up a woman in the boxing category and just really disgraced. And I think the finalists who won the gold medal and the silver medal were both men fighting in a women's sport. So again, Trump with a massive win, bringing an end to this happening in high schools, universities, and grassroots sports. Fantastic. That that will go down in history as one of the greatest things Trump has done is protecting women's sports, and he did it in such a cool way. He had all these women athletes with him, and had them all gather around him to take a picture to show the significance of the fact that a lot of women athletes want this. They want to have their own sport to compete in, to have their own records, to compete in a fair competition, to show that they are the best in their sport and not some man who couldn't cut it in the men league coming over. Massive win in the Trump administration. I'm so proud that I voted for Trump right now. Just so proud. 100%, getting my investment back in that vote. Investment. Like I got paid to do anything. I wish I got paid. I'm poor. But, the investment of trust that I put in Trump, that he was going to do what he said he was doing. The fact that he is listening to the people, that investment, the investment of trust, I had to clear that up because I know a liberal would say something, is a massive, massive win and just a breath of fresh air, honestly. And I'm so happy that women have their sports back because women are very competitive. And we talked about this, or the right side at least talked about this. I don't know if we did, but, I'm a big basketball fan. Basketball is my favorite sport. I love basketball. Basketball will always be one of my first loves in life. And how competitive and good women's sports is getting. They have some sure-fledged athletes right now. And the NCAA with Clark and how all great that went and how she went to the WNBA and is really turning things on her head this year. I think she won Rookie of the Year. Well earned, mind you. And it's just fantastic that we're living in a golden age of women's sports now. That you can turn on the competition, and if you're not really getting what you want for the men's game, you have an alternative. These women are certified great athletes. They would beat me to a pulp in a basketball game. I'm not one of those men that could have gotten over and dominated. They are just so talented, and it is truly one of God's blessings. The fact that they now can compete again and not have to worry about a man who again couldn't cut it where he was practicing his sport or playing his sport. And now they can set their own records again and they can really go after it. And I know the NCAA quickly jumped on this, which surprised me, but they supported it. And again, the country is healing. The divide might be there again for a bit because I don't think the divide's going to get better under Trump. But the country healing from liberal ideology is happening, people. And it's a massive win for Americans. So that was the one story I really wanted to talk about. Just a fantastic win by the Trump administration and President Trump. Thank you for that. But without further ado, it is time to wrap up the show. Thank you all for listening. And I hope, again, that you share this episode out. Leave a 5-star review and comment down below on your podcatcher of choice. Again, we are on Spreaker, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Audible, Cashbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Listen Notes, and Good Pods. And, of course, you can also find us on YouTube and Rumble. Thank you all again for the support last week. I would love to see the same support this week with what all we talked about. So please share this episode out and let's fight for conservative values on the federal and state level. Wherever you are, even if you're not in Mississippi, get involved on your state and local level. It is the only way to get back and fight against this corruption. Thank you for tuning in. God bless America, and God bless Mississippi.